Hello, students. Today we are going to discuss our first poem, that is Dust of Snow. This poem, which is very simple, very easy, and is very short, is written by Robert Frost. This poem consists of only two stanzas. It's easy, but it has a deeper meaning attached to it. Let's begin with it. Now, before beginning, I just want to tell you that dust of snow. As you can see in the picture, there is this dust of snow which has fallen on one of the dry leaves. This is a very fine powder or fine tiny particles of snow which has fallen on this leaf. We call it snowflakes. And I think you would have all experienced it if you would have gone to a hilly hill station in winters. And if suppose you have thrown these snowballs over each other, you would realize that it is really chilling and it's really refreshing when these snowballs fall over us, and we really like this. So, can you imagine that there is a change of mood? There is something good that we feel when these snowflakes fall on us. Now, I just want to tell you that there are two symbols in this poem. One is a crow, and the other is a hemlock tree. I would just like to share the picture with you, that how a hemlock tree and how crow looks like. Hemlock tree is actually a tree which is similar to pine tree, and it has white flowers, but it is a poisonous tree. Now you can see that there is a crow, and there is the branches or the canopy of the hemlock tree. The crow is sitting on the branches of the hemlock tree, and the snowflakes are settled as there is a snowfall. The snowflakes have settled on the branches of the tree. Now, what happens whenever you shake the branches of these tree? Whenever even one branch is disturbed, if there is rain, then the raindrops fall. Right now it's snow which has laden on these branches, so it will fall down in the form of dust, or the small particles will fall on you. Now remember, this poem begins on a very sorrowful note. First of all, crow. Now you know that suppose if we are talking about India and Hindi poems, you would remember that a crow has never been a subject matter of any poem. Mostly we are using the cuckoo birds, the nice, beautiful peacock, or any such beautiful part of nature. We have our preconceived notions, and we think that these are all related with beauty and all. So we always, even the poets are considering them to be nicer and hopeful. But crow is something which brings misfortune. Crow is a symbol of doom, of fear, of evilish deeds. And you know that crow is so ugly and has a harsh voice. So we are always considering it to be a gloomy or despair or something dark, something of a bad omen. We would never associate a crow with something good happening in our life. Similarly, this tree, hemlock tree, is also not something which is bringing positive vibes to us or something good. It is also a poisonous tree, and it has white flowers. And because it is a poisonous tree, so we would all like to stay away from it. Now see the combination of these two. There's a crow, and it is sitting on the hemlock tree. So, through these two symbols, the poet wants to indirectly convey us the mood of his on this day, the day when he experienced this incident happening in his life. he wants to convey that he was very sad, he was very disappointed, he was in a very gloomy mood, in a very despair or hopelessness or full of hopelessness. He was in an awful mood. So we are here beginning with something sorrowful. This first stanza is full of sorrow, and that is why these two symbols are working well for him. Now let us begin with the poem. You have already seen the image of this tree and the crow. Let us come back to this poem and let's begin with the first stanza. Yes. So, dust of snow. It's written by Robert Frost, an American poet. And the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. Now, as I continued reading it, and there was no stoppage in anywhere in this first paragraph. That means there is no punctuation which is used, and the first line, which begins from the first letter, continues continuously in all these first four lines, and it continues till this word tree. So you know that this poetic device enjambment has been used. Okay, let us first see and remember again that the poet was in a very gloomy, in a very sorrowful mood. Something might have went wrong, and he was in a mood, his spirits were had gone down, and he thought this whole day is going to be wasted, because whenever you are sad, whenever you are in a gloomy state, whenever you are disappointed, you cannot do something positive, something constructive. So similar was his day, and he thought that the whole day was going to be ruined. So here he is comparing here that when he was very sad and he was just roaming about in at this place, it could be a forest, or it could be any part where there were a lot of trees laden with snowflakes. So he was just moving under these trees when suddenly there was a crow, and you know that the birds, they perch on the tree branches. The crow might have taken off, and during this during this action, we exactly don't know what the crow was doing, but we know that there is some or the other kind of disturbance through a crow means it might have taken a flight, or it could have shaken his wings. So the snowflakes suddenly fell on the poet, and as soon as these snowflakes, dust means because these snow particles are very fine particles, and so it has been compared here with the dust. So this dust of snow fell on him, and it fell from the hemlock tree. So, what should be our prediction? What do we assess? That something, there are two negative symbols which have been used: a crow and a hemlock tree. He was already very sad, and suddenly something happened. So it could be possible that he may be sad only, but something opposite happened. These gloomy creatures, which are normally associated with bad omen, brought him with a lot of positivity. He was refreshed and he was rejuvenated. He was full of his spirits rose, they were lighted up, and he again felt fresh, energetic, and he felt from a state, came from a state of hopelessness to a state where he became very positive, optimistic, and he wanted to do something. He wanted to spend his remaining day of part of the day in a very constructive way. So that means from a gloomy mood, he suddenly changed into a very positive mood, and his day was also saved. So this was something that was not expected at all from something that were regarded as a bad omen, something we would like to stay away from, as we consider that the black uh, If there's a black cat who has which has crossed the road, then we are not going to go anywhere. Otherwise, our we would fail in whatever motive we were moving ahead with. So this is the first action. We have seen the first paragraph. Now the second stanza has given my heart a change of mood. That suddenly falling of the snowflakes have given me a change of mood. My mood suddenly changed from a state of despair to a state of hopefulness, or a lot of positivity, a lot of optimism, and saved some part of a day I had ruined. You know, the maximum part of the day he had already spoiled because he was sad and gloomy enough. But now, because of this small incident, a very insignificant, a very trivial incident, otherwise, really brought a total transformation in his mind and spirits. And the day which was about to be rued, what is rued? Rued means held in regret. I was regretting that it is going to be spoiled. That day, whatever part was remaining was saved from being ruined. Okay, and I didn't have to regret for that. My mood was changed, and then I would, and obviously the poet would have spent the remaining part of the day doing something very good, very constructive, because he was full of optimism, full of energy, and he was totally rejuvenated. So it happens that small things in your life can give you lifelong pleasure. These things can happen in your life. You are thinking that there is nothing, or there's a crow and there's a hemlock tree, so what good can happen? But it's your positivity, it's your outlook towards life. If you see anything with with a lot of positivity, then everything, then the world would be good for you. And the same happens that if you see something in a gloomy state, in a regretful state, then nothing good can happen to you. So small instances gives us a lifelong lesson. And one more thing, that nature is also has curative powers. Nature cures us. Nature heals us. Nature has a healing power. And even insignificant things can bring you or teach you something which is very deep, very philosophical, very deeper in interpretations. So this is what we have seen here. And now be in a positive frame of mind. We should always be positive. We should never be negative. So crow and hemlock here represents sorrow and depression felt by the poet in the materialistic world. They bring cheer to him and are a source of joy. He got an idea or a plot to write a poem. And how was the remaining part of the day spent nicely? That from those gloomy images or symbols or figures, he got an inspiration. And for a poet, an inspiration is a great thing. And from this inspiration, he was able to write a poem. And thus, if a poet has got an inspiration to write a poem and he has written a poem, then his day has been well spent. Now come to the poetic devices in this poem. Let us see the first paragraph. Now see the end. First, see the rhyming schemes of this poem. Can you see the last words? Crow, me, snow, and tree. Crow and snow from the first and the third line are rhyming. So we see that A can be they can be given A rhyming scheme, and in me and tree it could be BB. So altogether the first paragraph has AB rhyming scheme. So this is the rhyming scheme. If we come to the second paragraph, then heart and part are rhyming with each other. So both of them will be given C rhyming scheme. Mood and rude are DD because they have a different kind of rhyming scheme matching with each other. So this is CD. So AB and CD is the rhyming scheme of the whole poem. Now, I had already told you there has been enjambment used here. Enjambment is actually a poetic device where one line continues through the second or the next without any punctuation. And here in the first paragraph, we have seen the whole paragraph is a continuous line. So this whole paragraph, first paragraph is an enjambment, as well as the second paragraph is also an enjambment because it is also made up of only one continued line, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So it is continuing, and that is because it is continuing without punctuation, it is an enjambment. Now, see the second line of the poem: shook down on me. Can you see the O in shook, O in down, and O in on? This is assonance. Assonance means that these vowel sounds are repeated in any part of a poem. It can be possible that sometimes vowel sounds are repeated or sometimes consonant sounds are repeated. Here, because O, which is a vowel, is repeating, so it is assonance. Assonance, assonance. Now we come to the second paragraph. Here we see that in the already we have seen that enjambment is used in this paragraph also. Then we come to the second last line: saved and some. We know that alliteration has been used in this line, saved and s. So the same sound has been repeated. So s sound is repeated here, and this is alliteration. So saved and some are alliteration. Then we come to the next line: of a day I had rued. Now day has a D, then had as has a D, but at a different position. Rude again has a D at a different position. But we know D is a consonant. And because consonant sound is repeating, this figure of speech, a poetic device or literary device, is known as consonants. Okay, it is known as consonants. So these are the literary devices that has been used in the poem, and we have already seen that AB CD is the rhyming scheme that has been used. So we know that both these negative symbols, the crow as well as the hemlock tree, which are otherwise, according to preconceived notions, are considered to be having bad omen, are bringing positivism and strength that transformed his day from for the better. Yes, for the better. He has broken all the preconceived notions that there is nothing like good omen or bad omen. Even things or plants or animals or trees, whatever, which are considered to be bad omen, can bring you a lot of positivity in our mind or in our life. So this is a very small and simple poem which is having a much deeper meaning. It expresses the significance of small things in changing one's attitude. Little things in life can make huge changes in our future. It also reflects that hard times in life will lead to happier times if we persist and endure with it. So we should never get disheartened that something wrong is about to happen. If we are optimistic, then something good is always going to happen with you. I hope you have understood this poem very well. Now, remember one more thing. that Robert Frost is known for his realistic depiction. And here also we have seen that how there is a spontaneous flow of emotions here, and he is writing whatever he has himself felt or realized in his life. So I hope you would have understood this poem, revise it nicely, and understand it well.